afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Toni Carroll, and I am the South Carolina State Manager and Chief Training Officer here at Security Title Corporation of Baltimore, and I'm going to be moderating today's presentation. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. Everybody is placed in listen-only mode, but feel free to ask any questions and comments through the chat box, and we will address those at the end of the webinar. Today, I'm super excited to have my really good friend here, Linda Aparo with eQuire. She's going to be talking about how to streamline your post-closing with release tracking and title curative services. Linda is the National Director of Sales and Business Development at eQuire Real Estate Solutions and has more than 30 years of experience in title insurance and real estate industry, working both with underwriter and agencies in different states. Linda was the founder and CEO of Final Track, a leading release tracking company before its acquisition by eQuire. She received her NTP, World of Acronyms, National Title Professional designation in 2017 and participates in the Native American Lands Work Group, Membership and Organization Committee, Best Practices Work Group, MISMO Liaison Work Group, and the Research and Analysis Committee for ALTA. She is also a licensed real estate agent in Massachusetts and Connecticut. Linda is a co-author of the book, Life of the Mortgage Loan, a playbook, which has seen much success in the real estate sector. She speaks nationally about her book, along with the importance of first lien position. Linda has an outstanding record of success in identifying business opportunities, development strategies, creates new products, implementations, actions to boost business performance. Welcome, Linda.
Thanks, Toni. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited that you're here.
I'm excited.
You know, in a changing market, it's a great time to look at your internal workflow to see how we can become more efficient. Post-closing is always a super time-consuming process, and who wants to pick up a file again after it closes? And I know you've got some solutions for us to help. Can you tell me a little bit about the eQuire service?
Sure, absolutely. So as you said, picking up a file after it closes only costs you money because in the real estate world that we're all in, you only get paid at the time of the closing. So as soon as that file closes, you're not recouping any money that you put into the file. And release tracking, which is following up on any of the payoff of liens that affect your title, to assure that a corrected release is recorded, thereby clearing the title and allowing first lien position for the new mortgage. So not only is that a requirement by your title insurance underwriter to deliver a title policy in first lien position, it's also a requirement by the lender. And of course, let's not forget the consumer, because the consumer is the reason why we're all in business. They're all transacting on their houses. We've all been in this business for quite a long time, most of us. If not, you're learning. And the consumer is really our customer. So if I'm going to hire somebody to build a stone wall for me, I have expectations on that stone wall that stone wall is going to be around in 10, 15 years, and it's not going to fall apart. When you do a closing, it's your expectation to make sure that you're delivering their property without any title liens against it, because the longer you go away from that payoff to obtain that release, the harder it gets to obtain that release, because lenders go out of business, they get taken over. It may be a private lender, you're going to have to track them down, possibly they're deceased, and now you have to go after the executor. So it's just very efficient, and also the best practice to follow up with those releases as soon as they're paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, like today, most of these agents, they have to wait to get that release from the lender so that they can get it recorded. If the lender doesn't send it directly, you've got certain statutes that you got to meet depending on states. There's just so much involved in getting that release done, and it would be way easier, more efficient for a third-party service such as yours to do that. And I know you say, you know, about 30%, 36% of all real estate transactions have title problems, which are commonly associated with release issues. How does that interfere and slow down closing?
So if you're a new buyer or you're a seller, you're selling your property and you did a refinance 5 years ago, if your title agent has not followed up on that release and that release is still outstanding, that holds up your title or your closing. So you lose your rate lock, you could lose the house. If somebody has not taken care of that problem to begin with. That's another service that we offer. It's titled Curative Services, where we will actually go after the lender to make sure that they record that release on the land records, but that could take 30 to 90 days. And if you're waiting to close on a loan, then you could, again, lose your rate lock or lose the house just because there's a title issue. A lot of people, Toni, say that it's the lender's responsibility. You mentioned the statute to follow up on the release and make sure it is recorded. That is 100% true. It is the lender's responsibility to make sure that that release is effectively recorded on the land records. And I say effectively, not just recorded, it has to actually release that lien. We find at eQuire 20% of the time the lender does not do that. And so effectively record it on or don't record it at all. So that becomes a huge problem if you're not following up on those.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And it's funny, I just experienced this. We just closed on a loan, but we were going to be delayed because they never released the property from the existing mortgages. It was new construction.
I
So
remember talking to you about that at one of the conferences we were at.
yeah, so if they would have had your service, that wouldn't have been a problem.
Right, right. And we all want to make sure our customers are happy. We want repeat business. Do the best thing that you can for the customer and make sure that that's followed up on, because that's something that will haunt you. It's like a ticking time bomb, right? So out of 100 closings that you're doing today, 20 of those possibly have a release that's either not recorded or not effectively recorded. You don't want that to explode in the middle of a crazy market like we were in 2 years ago. That doesn't make you look good if it's a return customer. It doesn't make you look good if you're talking to one of your peers. It doesn't make you look good if you're talking to your underwriter. And it's become such a common cost on the CD as a pass-through that there's really no reason not to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned 20% of all releases are incorrectly or not filed on the land records. Can you give us some examples on this?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So sometimes they are recorded in the wrong place. For example, I'm in Connecticut. Connecticut records by town, not by county. If a lender or even someone who has a judgment lien on title does not know that we record by town, they'll record it in the Hartford County land records, and Hartford will take the money and they'll record it, but it really should have been recorded in the Manchester town records. So there's different nuances for every single state. Most states record by county. They could have recorded it with the wrong lender's name on it. They could have recorded it without the assignment. There's a bunch of different, a lot of times, and this has become less and less, but it still happens, especially with the smaller lenders. A lot of times they send that release directly to the homeowner. The homeowner gets it and they think, oh, this is just a document that belongs in my file. They stick it in the file, and then after 7 years they destroy that file and they don't have it any longer. So by using a release tracking or simply tracking their releases, about, I would say 50% of the people that I talk to in the market don't even do it. Just somebody, please track your releases to make sure that the land records are clean. And if you did that, then you wouldn't have the title curative issues that we have today.
Right, and why have to remember to go back in and look for the release? Was it recorded? Are you not issuing your policy until that recording is done, depending on where you are? So there's just so many ways that this, if they're doing it themselves, it could bog them down. So this would definitely make life a lot easier.
And when they issue their policy, they typically do not have the release yet. There's statutes out there. Every state has a different statute. If anybody's interested in a list, I have a list. So some of the states have a 90-day statute. Alta states that you should have your title insurance policy in, I think, within 30 or 60 days. So the release doesn't have to be recorded, but when you issue that title insurance policy, you are saying to your underwriter, this is in first lien position because I have paid off the existing loan, and I'm going to make sure that the release is recorded. So you may do your title policy first before you get that release, which is common practice, but you still have to make sure that you're following up on that release to make sure that it's recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. I know way back when I used to process files in New Jersey, we would issue the lender's policy right away, and then we would do, we order a cover record, just a kind of an update,
Yeah.
and to see if those releases were done before we did the owners. So it's, different processes, but definitely something that I wouldn't have to worry about going forward.
Right.
Now I know you have other services available. I've got just kind of advancing your screen here a little bit in our PowerPoint. You've got other services besides release tracking.
Yep. If you could go back one, Toni, title curative services. Let's see. Go forward one. No. Oh, maybe they're out of order. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the services that we have.
They love technology, right?
Yeah, that's okay. It happens, right? So we do offer release tracking. We offer it in all 50 states along with title curative. And title curative is at the time that you order your title search or title commitment, and there's an outstanding lien on it because it was never followed up after payoff. It could be a private lender, it could be a judgment lien, municipal lien, tax lien, UCC, and you need to have that cleared up in order to move forward on your closing. A lot of people say, well, the title insurance company will write over it. Yes, in some states, not in all states, but in some states they will write over it. But don't you want to do what's best for your customer, the consumer? We deal with these real estate closings as our business. So we do a lot of real estate closings. The typical consumer only closes 5 times, does a real estate transaction 5 times in their life. They don't know that if this is not followed up on, that they cannot transact on their property. By pushing it off to the title insurance underwriter, I mean, Toni, you can speak to that. You guys don't want to do that because then you have to clean up the mess. And they spend hours and a lot of the claims money to have those cleaned up. So title curative is your last ditch effort to try to find that release or that missing assignment so it can get recorded on the land record so you have clear title. That all of our services are available in all 50 states, by the way. And then we also do document preparation services. So there are certain states in the country that you need to prepare documents and you need to have an entity to do that. If you're a national company, you in the UPL states, those are the unauthorized practice of law states, attorney states, Connecticut, South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yep. You need attorneys to prepare those. So we can prepare those in all 50 states. We also do any type of document, transactional real estate document that you need prepared. So if you need any of that prepared, we could do that, powers of attorney. So that's definitely something we can do for you. So those are the 3 services that eQuire offers.
Which is great. And then just kind of going back to title curative, when you've got those lenders that are no longer in business, to be able to track them down, that can take, I think you mentioned earlier, it could take such a long time. And you guys, you've got some guarantees on that, don't you?
Yeah, so we have the golden Rolodex. We have over 5,000 lender contacts because we've collected them over the years. Even private lenders, we maintain the officer that maintain the ability to sign. A lot of times we have his or her email address, phone number. They're used to being contacted by us. And we have a 94% success rate in getting those old documents. And our thing is, if we cannot get that, then you don't pay us for our services. So 94% of the time we're able to get that. There are certain times we can't get it. We can't force someone to sign a document. If someone is incarcerated in a federal prison, they're not allowed to sign documents, so we can get that. Yeah, if they've taken off to deep in the woods of Montana and we can't find them, we can't do that. I actually, when I owned Final Track, the company that I own that eQuire acquired, we actually found someone that was hiding for tax purposes down in one of the Caribbean islands, and one of my people in my office ended up finding him, and he's like, "How did you find me? I can't believe you found me. I'm kind of hiding out." And they're like, "We're gonna send you this document. Just sign it. We won't tell anybody where you are."
Hey, did you get to go deliver that to them?
No. The only time I ever got to do something like that was actually in Connecticut. We didn't get a response from someone. It was somebody who owned a construction company. We didn't get a response, and I literally sat outside of their house waiting for them to show up at their house to get them to sign it. I had to sit there with a notary so we could get it signed and witnessed, but they ended up signing it for us. But yeah,
Wow, so you got all lengths, all lengths. Well, and that's such a time-consuming process waiting for a title agent, so that'll definitely make life easier. And at what point in the closing process should a title agent engage eQuire?
So for the title curative services, you would engage our services right when you know that there's a lien that needs to be resolved that's holding up title. So that's immediate right away. As far as the release tracking, you would engage us post-closing. So when the file has closed and you're doing your payoff and you're writing out your checks to your realtors and all of that, that's when you would submit the order to eQuire. And we would get going on it, because we get going from the payoff date. So we count the payoff date forward because we have to allow the lender time to record that release. So per the statute, our systems are set up by every state statute. So if it's a 30-day state, then we know the payoff date is April 6, 2023. We're going to wait that 30 days before we start looking for it to allow the lender to record that document.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
And for efficiency wise, you hate to be able to have to enter data into another system. Do you have integrations with the different title production softwares out there so they don't have to rekey data?
Yeah, that's a great point, Toni. We do. We have integrations with almost every single platform out there. It's really easy to use us on all of the platforms. You order it at different stages or different points in your platform. And once you order it, again, what happens is that we wait for the statutory period, and then we will go out and we'll find the release. We grab that release and we verify it for accuracy, and then we upload it into our system. And depending on which title production system you have, it will either automatically go into your file or upload overnight. There are, let me think about this. So I'm going to rattle some names off here. SoftPro, yes. RamQuest, we email you the release, I believe. Qualia, yes, it goes straight in. eClosing, it goes straight in. Which ones am I missing, Toni?
Title Express?
Title Express, it does not, but you get an email. So yeah. What we do is we say, set up an email box that everybody can see in your office, and have the eQuire emails go in there, and then they're all in one email box. If you want to drag and drop it into your file, you can do that. But otherwise, you have it all in one spot. And then if you have any questions during the process, we're always available to help with questions. Everybody has an account rep assigned to them. So if you don't know, if you're using us today and you don't know who your account rep is, then you can certainly reach out to me and I can assist you. With every company, there's been some changes it requires. So you may be like, my account rep was so-and-so, and that was 4 years ago. I'm sure it's changed since then. So your account rep is the one that definitely is on your side with making sure everything gets done correctly.
That's great. Customer service, I know you're amazing at it, because anytime we're somewhere, somebody has a question, you're right there to answer it. So
yeah, salespeople are never off, Toni.
No, we're not. It's true, we are.
We're always on.
I do want to remind people that if you do have questions, to put it into the questions box on the right. And we were talking technology. I meant to mention this earlier. You're seeing Linda on camera. Unfortunately, my camera is not working today, so I apologize for not being on camera.
We missed seeing you.
All
We
right.
continue.
Do you want to, any last minute comments before we start?
Yeah, so
Answering
a
questions?
couple of things. So if anybody is interested in the life of a mortgage loan, it's a process. Um, I wrote an ebook on that, and a lot of people use it as a training guide. So feel free to let me know. It's free. You can use it as a training guide. It goes through the very beginning of a loan when the consumer looks to buy a property, all the way to the title agent and the importance that you guys all play in the closing transaction, to selling that loan on the secondary market. What happens? What is the secondary market? It explains all of that, because I found that I was sitting at a group at the American Land Title Association, and Justin Ailes, who used to be one of the attorneys there, he said, I have no idea what happens after the closing. What happens? And so we were explaining to him what happened. I was with my co-writer, and we ended up developing this for the American Land Title Association, and it's been a great success. And it's a good training guide. So please feel free to reach out to me or Toni, and Toni can get in touch with me, and you can have that and take a look at that and use that. The other thing is, you know, it's really important for all of us to make sure that now our processes are in place. So whether you're going to use a third-party release tracking service, there's several of us out there, or do release tracking in-house, which I don't advise, not just because I work for the company, but it costs you operational dollars to do that. But
Exactly.
regardless of what you're going to do, it is just really important to follow up on these releases. We have seen so many times complaints with the CFPB because the releases weren't followed up. People have lost rate locks, people have lost houses. It's just really a best practice. It's a really something that you should feel obligated to do for your customer. So regardless, I'd like to bring that 50% down of every time I talk to someone, they say, we don't follow up on it. I'd really like to bring that down and have, yes, and we have a process in place, and this is what we're going to do.
100%. You know, it's important. And some lenders out there aren't going to allow you to just, take an underwriter's. They want marketable title, and you don't have marketable title if those liens are still outstanding.
You don't, and if God forbid, nobody likes the word foreclosure except for foreclosure attorneys, but God forbid that it's foreclosed on, they cannot foreclose. We have a lot of customers that are foreclosure attorneys that use us to clear title because they don't have first lien position, so they can't foreclose on it. So it really jams up down the line if you're not following up on these releases. And let's all, as my motto is, let's just be nice. Let's just
Yeah,
all be
let's
nice
just do
to
it.
each other.
Let's just do it. All great
So,
information. Anything before we jump to questions?
no.
Well, that was really great information. I do have a question here on this is the worst offender on not providing cancellations is the U.S. Small Business Administration. Do you offer any services with regard to those? The statutes don't permit cancellations by the attorney who paid off the loan. I would file a complaint with CFPB if I thought it would do any good.
That is one of the things that we track to make sure that it's paid off. So again, because we do this as a living and as a job, we have contacts inside all of those agencies to get the releases filed on the land records. If you're talking about title curative, same thing. We have contacts in there and we can get those filed. You're going to find that, the small business, you're going to find that like your local town that does the taxes and they put a lien on for taxes, or some entity that's helping out people that struggle to get a loan, they're going to be the biggest offenders because they just don't know that this is what they have to do. So we'll even go as far as saying to them, we will draft the document for you. and get it signed. So because we also provide document preparation, we can draft the document, which we do for, you see a lot of people that have mortgages or a mortgage on their property or a lien on their property for windows or siding. And these people go in and out of business constantly. We have to track down those officers all the time and get them to sign documents so we can clear up title, because they didn't know that they had to provide a release.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, if somebody wants to get started with eQuire, what does that process look like?
So the only thing you have to do is you could reach out to me here and I can put you in touch with your customer service rep, whether it's me or somebody else. And we'd love to have the conversation to talk to you about it, to make sure that it's something that you want to do and it fits into, fits into your process. So just please reach out to me and we can get you started right away. Also, with all of our integrations, you will see that there's an option under, whether it's their marketplace or the 360, you will see that requires an option there, and you can always connect with us through your integration as well. When you set up something through one of those integrations, we get triggered at our home office that it was set up. So someone should reach out to you.
That's perfect. And I've got your contact information here on the screen for everybody.
Yeah, perfect.
We've got somebody asking, can we use the service only for problem files?
Absolutely. We have some people that will use us just for, here's something I want to talk about. Home equity lines of credit. Please, people, home equity lines of credit. A lot of times the lenders do not close out those home equity lines of credit. And again, the consumer transacts 5 times on their property. They don't know that, or they didn't understand, or so they say, that they don't own the property anymore. They can't write out on that home equity line of credit. So if the lender has not closed it out and issued a release on that, they're off there signing checks, and then it becomes a huge title insurance issue and underwriter's issue. And
Right.
Obviously you don't want to claim. So yeah, we have some companies, national companies, that use us for just their home equities. You have a problem bank, you can use us for that. We don't have any minimums. So, if you have a title curative once every year, use us for it. If you have a consumer that is struggling, we take consumer orders as well. So absolutely, there's no minimums.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we're approaching the end of our time today. I think you and I both can talk about this all day long because we want our agents to be efficient.
Yes. I've lived in this in the release tracking world for 17 years. I've been in the title business for 37. So yeah, I can talk about it all day.
And we're passionate about this, just to be able to streamline agents, have them be more efficient, and be a resource for them.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate my partnership with you guys. You guys are great, Toni. So thank you for inviting me on today.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been exciting. Oh, wait, one last question. Where can we find the book?
The book. So my email address right here, just email me and tell me that you want the book and I'll shoot it right over to you.
Perfect. That is great.
Or you could go on gorequire.com. It's also on our website.
Oh, awesome. That's good to know. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. Next month, we're going to be speaking with Close Simple. They're going to talk about how to take your business to the next level. That webinar is going to take place on Thursday, May 4th, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, and we hope to see you there. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bill and Paul are awesome people, so make sure you go to that one. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.